Good afternoon, everyone. So this today we'll be having the exhibition game number four, and my special guest today is Mr. Tetsuya Nakajima from Japan. So he's one of my best friends in Othello, and also a very famous Othello player. He is a Japanese 8-dan player and a two-time former World Othello Championship semi-finalist in 2006 and 2007. So I'm definitely expecting a very tough game, and definitely the odds are not in my favor. Okay, so before we go further, I just wanted to give a quick note to the friends in Japan. Just a greeting. 皆さんこんにちは。私はオセロ連盟の三段の Alex Ko です。So right now, I'd like to actually pass the time on to Mr. Tetsuya Nakajima from Japan to actually speak a few words before we proceed further.
Oh, I'm surprised that he speaks perfect Japanese. 皆さんこんにちは。日本オセロ連盟8段の中島です。And you should know I played once in the final, 1999. Don't forget, I am finalist.
Oh, okay.
今日頑張ります。よろしくお願いします。
Okay. So thank you, Mr. Nakajima. So I know that other than Othello, he also likes Singapore very much. So that is why he has also agreed to actually take up the exhibition match. Specifically, he likes to visit the casinos in Singapore. Okay, so today's game will actually be played on a website that is actually designed and created by Mr. Nakajima himself. So besides being an outstanding Othello player, he is also a very brilliant programmer. So it's if you've played on Play OK, it would be something similar, but he's developed and is continue to developing something what I would expect to be something very amazing, probably in the future with additional features. So today we're going to be actually playing the game on his website. So this is actually the interface that you see. And right now we're going to be deciding the colors that we're going to be playing using the Japanese traditional method of fuseshi. So how it works is that usually the higher dan player would actually prepare a disc and face it in a particular way in his palm or on the board and cover it. And the lower rank player would actually guess the color of the top face color. And if I guess correctly, I get the choice of choosing either the color or the right to a draw win in the event that the game results in a draw. And I will eventually actually win. So that is how Fuseshi works. So if Nakajima-san, if you're okay, we can proceed with Fuseshi.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is board, my board, handmade board.
Okay, yeah. So that's the handmade board.
Yes.
And he has a disc. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I will guess Kuro, which is black in Japanese.
Okay, Kuro. No.
Ah, okay, so right now the result is white. So Mr. Nakajima will actually have the right to choose either a draw win or the color that he wants to play. So which would you like?
Okay, I take white.
Okay, so Mr. Nakajima has selected the color white, so I'll be playing black, and if the game results in a draw, which is a best of one match, I would actually win the game. Okay, so if we're okay, then I will actually take a seat on black right now.
Okay.
So the nickname that I'm using in this game is Othello Academy, which is my channel name, and of course Mr. Nakajima is using Nakaji, which is I think one of his widely used short form of his name. So without further ado, we'll start the game, and for me, the commentaries will be made in English, and for Mr. Nakajima, he will actually be making his commentaries in Japanese. So for each move, before we play the move, we would actually just talk through what we're thinking as usual, and we would actually just try to share our thoughts before making the game. OK。じゃあ、始めましょうか。
始めましょう。よろしくお願いします。
はい、よろしくお願いします。Yep. Okay, so right now it's my turn to play, and I'll just kick off the game with my favorite orientation to e6.
難しい。私は白の時は、ほぼ100%縦取りを打ちます。
Oh, you play perpendicular 100%?
Yes.
Okay, so right now I'll be playing. Actually, I think most of the Japanese players actually know the tiger and cat variation pretty well. I'm not too sure whether I want to go down there. So I would actually be taking the rose variation to play to e3.
おっと。おはい、この場合はきっと誰でもここだと思います。
Okay, so right now white has just elected to jump right into the center. So over here I'll be playing the usual rose opening book move. I'll be playing to c5, just a quick one disc chip to the side.
普通か。はい。じゃあこちらも普通に行きます。
Okay, so over here I actually have a few choices to make a variation. So the typical book move would actually go to c4, and one of my favorite openings, if I share it with everyone, is actually c6, which is the Shaman opening, and also f5 and g4 are also viable options to play. So right now I'm thinking whether I should actually take up which variation. I think I'll go ahead and actually play c6, which is the Shaman opening. So just playing to the tail end.
マジですかマジですかこれは普通の試合で打たれたことはほとんどないな。そうね、黒の黒の C4 の手を消す必要があるから多分どっちかなんだけど、なんとなくこっちかなと。なんとなくこれで大丈夫かな。変な手だな、しかし。
Okay, so the opponent has played e7, which is one of the few standard response to the Shaman opening variation. So over here, I can choose to either centralize to f5 or to actually play f6 perhaps, or the usual book move for Shaman to actually play to f8, which approach the edge pretty early and then favors the centralization thereafter. So in this case, I'll be going for the f8 move.
はい。はい。いやー、ちょっと待ってね。これだと思うんだけど。いや。多分 C3 で十分なんだよね。C3、F6、F7、F5、C4 でここ打てるのか。ちょっと待ってよ。喋りながらと分からなくなる。白、黒、例えばそうだな。分かった。多分 C3 で問題なくて、C3、F6、先に F7 打って、F5 ならば D3 で多分 C4 の手が残るから大丈夫に見えるのと、他どうなんだろうな。でもまあ多分これで悪くはないでしょう、きっと。変な手打つられると困るんだよね。
Okay, so opponent has played c3, so I would actually go for the tail end of c3, which is a diagonal cut across. So c3 being the hit, the tail end is e5. I would actually consider f6 as a quick and dirty way to actually pick a quiet move. And of course, centralizing is also an option to perhaps d3 or f5. But in this case, I'll go for f6 just to keep to my side of the board.
いやー、ちょっとわかんないの。でもこれで十分だと思うな。さっき言った通り。F7。そうだよね。D3 で形良くしたいんだけど、F5 来られるとちょっとその後の手が続かなそうっていうのがあるんで、そう、この C4 打つための手を残しておくって意味もあってね。F7 が必要な気がするのよ。うん。そう思います。
Okay, so the opponent has played f7, which is a nice intersecting quiet move right down. So the next move he might make is actually to play either f5 or g6. So over here, I would actually elect to just jump into the center and just cross back into f5 to contest for that move.
で、ちょっとね、考えなきゃなのが、これだよな。D 玉のタイミングなんだよな。白黒白なら白がいいんだけど。これ打たれるんだよね。いやーでも、そうだと思うんだよな。これ D さんに対して素直に B7 来てくれると、これでいいんだけどさ、俺に対して E2 来た場合はどうするんだろうな。じゃあ、他はどうなんだって話にもなるんだけど、この手を一手入れておくことで何かいいことがあるかどうかなんだよな。うん。となると、やっぱりこれでしょう。
Okay, so opponent has played d3, which is a nice regroup move to the top. So over here, if I were to choose to play the easy, quiet move to d7 to cross back, white would also have a very nice cross back move to c4, which would actually put me in a very difficult position. So one option to actually try to prevent that is to consider g8 as well. Even though it is a c square, we can actually prevent c4. But g8 definitely carries a high risk as well. So over here, another way is to actually just try to ignore the lower shape and actually cross back to the top, which E2 would actually be a clear option. F2 would actually be 2 poison. And of course, if you play D2, it would also be 2 poison in a sense that you give too many moves for white. And the disc that you flip are exposed to a few more squares. That is something that we don't want. So G3 is also a possible option to actually just play a quick head and tail quiet move, but we would actually establish F4 to actually chase down the excess of C4. But we would still end up being slower than white to actually approach C4. So in this case, it's either you prevent C4 from happening or you actually try to work your way around it or to poison it. So for me, I think right now the overall shape, I would actually choose E2 to centralize over perhaps G8, which is also a prevention type of move. So G8 is a move that probably leads the game into something, a very more extreme situation perhaps. So let's go with E2.
これ割といい手だよね。そう、これはこの C4 で済めばそれが一番安全な感じなんだけど、これに対して D2 でドーン抜かれると、白どっちも打てない。打てないとこはね、この石も抜かれればこの辺も打てなくなるしね、果たしていいんですかって感じね。ただ、ここを黒から打たれるのもすごく嫌な形なので、だから、今のこのうまいんだよね。こっちもあり得るのかな。どっかと C4 の両方が打てたら白は一番幸せなんだけどさ、こ これだと単に打たれちゃって気分良くないと思うんだよな。だからとりあえずこう打ち込むのか、これも打たれて気分良くないよね。こっちはあり得るのかな。いやー、それがここ打つように見えるんだよな。で、ただ D に打たれて、その後なのよ。例えば D7 打っていけばいいのかな。いやー、これ難しいよな。よくわかんねえよな。先にこれをやっとく。いやー、でもね、こういう手をね、経験上ね、こういう C4 みたいなくぼみを放置して苦しくなるとね、後悔が大きいんで、やっぱある意味素直なこれを打ちます。
Okay, so white has played c4, which is the immediate quiet move. So that's quite a strong move for white for sure, and a very safe one. So right now, I can actually choose to either just regroup into the center, which is a very quick and easy quiet move to d7, which flips one disc one direction, and the disc that I flipped is surrounded by the existing discs. So that could be a good move. Another option is to actually play d2, because if I were to play d7, white might actually play d2 and just cut into the center. So that shape, that consequent shape would actually be more difficult for me. So I need to check whether I should actually be preventing d2. I would actually consider maybe g5 as an option. But perhaps g5 and g4 might be a very strong mini diagonal control between d3 and f5, so that is probably something I want to avoid as well. So right now my priority is to actually play d2 because I can still have access to d7. It's unlikely that white might play to d7 to block it. So I'll go ahead with d2.
そうだね、賛成。多分ね、このゲームを見てるオセロジャパンの、視聴者だとね、この D の7に打ちたがるような人いたはずなんだよ。そういう手打ってるようじゃダメなんだ、こういうとこでね。黒 D7 だと白が D に打てちゃうからだよ。分かってるかな。いやー、ちょっとこういうの分かんないんだよな。これ必要ある。でもとりあえずこれ打っとけば、とりあえずこの一手打っておけば、何かと手が生まれるよね。ぐらいの。
Okay, so white has played g6, which is a nice quiet move to the right. And of course, in this situation, I would actually look at d7 again, because d7 is the group small inside move that is actually allows me to only flip one disc in one direction and just maintain that center shape. Of course, the trade-off is that I would actually have to sacrifice potentially d8. If black goes d7, white goes d8 for the quick quiet move, I would then have to plan slightly ahead. Of course, on the tail end of d8, I might actually have a quiet move to play to g5, or to actually move towards either b5 or maybe f2 in the future after g5 happens. So the general strategy right now is to actually just try to occupy the center shape and just try to wait for opportunities from white's moves. So I would go for d7, also because the moves on the right seems to be a little bit too poison at the moment. Okay, so we'll go for d7.
どっちだろうな。一応こっちなのかな。とりあえずね、黒にどっか手をつけてほしいわけよ。だから、これで待とう。
Okay, so white has taken the easy quiet move to d8 for sure. And of course, as previously explained, my two options would be b5 or g5. So b5 will probably invite easy poison move to b3. So, and of course, if I were to play g5, I would probably have to expect white to either play to c2 or maybe h4 in the future in response. And of course, one of the concerning parts of the lower h configuration this way is that white eventually establishes some excess along the mini diagonal between d7 and f5 and actually capture a nice quiet move to c8 in the future. So right now I'm thinking that I should actually play more nestled in shape, also because there are more white discs right now on the right edge instead of the left. So I should actually just jump right into the right for now, given that it's not a closed shape at the moment. So another thing is like playing b5, and if opponent takes b3, he establishes the e6 disc that would allow him to take c8 over here. So I'll be electing to actually take the g5 move, which is also aligned with a head and tail theory, responding to the tail end of the d8 move.
はい。ここでね。で、これ打てたらいいんだけどね。打てないのは知ってますよ。で、どうするか。これで一旦問題ない気がするな。おとなしくおとなしく。
Okay, so white has taken c2, which establishes a very nice disc at f5 that gives him access to perhaps c8 in the future. So that is probably a concern for me at this point in time. I also have to consider what kind of moves that I can actually play to. So b5 still remains on the radar as a potential good move, and also f2 and also perhaps g5. But the problem with playing g5 is that it flips two discs in two different directions almost too immediately. So I need to assess whether that is actually worth preventing c8 from happening by sacrificing a move that actually flips two discs in two different directions. So my top picks right now are b5, f2, and g4. So I would actually probably avoid playing into b5 for now, because prevention is usually the first priority. And I would definitely have to look at g4 right now as whether it is a viable option. So g4 actually flips f3, that gives white a very nice quiet move up to d1. But if white plays d1 in response, it actually unlocks a move for me to b4 as well, which is also a quiet move. So another option is to actually try to go to f2 first, allow white to take c8, jump back into e8, feed the unbalanced edge, and try to go for that g4 move thereafter. So I'm going to go ahead with g4 as more of a force prevention move, even though it does unlock d1 as a quiet move for white. But in exchange, having d1 established for white actually poisons all the moves towards the right for white in the future. So that could also be a possible strategy. So I'll take up g4 in this case.
おお、いきなりこれ来るか。本当
Yes.
そうなのか、思い切ってるな。はあ、そう。あんまり予想してなかった。ね、こっち側の、白側の雑な言い方で言うと、さっきこの石を返して、ある意味黒に中割りの手作ったんだけど、すぐ打たれるならこの石まで変えるんでね、同時に2手潰せてるんで、いいでしょっていうざっくりとした考えなんだけど、確かにこれ打った後白に6に手ができてないっていうのが強みなのか。そうか。でもなんかそういうことやるといけない気がするんだけどな。でも守るのかね。でもいけない気がするけどな。なぜいけないかというと、これはここからダラダラで悪くない気がするんだけどな。これで十分な気がするんだけどな。どうかな。 そうなのね。この辺の微妙な頭の中での考えを口に今出してないんだよ。けど、まあいいや。ここだと思うな。
Okay, so white has played to b6. That is a direct cut out into the center. So yeah, the earlier move of g4 does sacrifice two discs in two different directions, but it also established a bit of a line control on the horizontal line and also the diagonal line. So that is a trade-off. So right now, after white has cut out to b6, he actually establishes e6, which is a critical disc to actually provide access for him to perhaps c8 in the future. So right now the threat is for white to actually play either c7 or c8. So one of the ways is to actually prevent it from happening. So if I do choose perhaps e8, that would actually be an option to actually prevent c8, but it doesn't really prevent c7 from happening. And of course, if I give e8, the chances are that white would actually jump into perhaps either c7 or g8, either one. So if he does jump into g8, I would then be able to slot into c7. Or I could just go directly to c7, which is a fairly poisoning move first, directly. And of course, leave e8 as an option in the future to give up that unbalanced edge. And then, of course, another option is to just jump into b5 right now and play a poison move, perhaps. But that is probably not advisable at the moment because d7 seems to be a very vulnerable move, very vulnerable disc actually, that white could actually remove and unpoison b5 in the future for me. So that is probably something that I don't want to do at this point in time. So I think preserving that option to actually jump into e8 in the future is critical. So I'll actually go with c7 first and wait for a response.
はいはい。でね、やっぱさっきからね、白が気にしてるのはね、この辺の手数なんだけど、だからね、この一択だと思ってるんだけど、そう、この辺先に手出しちゃうとね、黒に先に左側手出されると、左側での手数が足りないっていうか、黒に多く打たれるように見えますんで、これ B4。先に打っとく。
Okay, so white played b4, which is an expected response for sure because it's a nice cutout into the center, and also creates c5 this that gives him future access to h5. So if I were to want to prevent it, it would actually mean maybe playing b5, but b5 gives a very easy response to b3. So right now I have to think about whether I want to prevent it, or if I don't want to prevent it, should I poison it? One option of poisoning it might be to play h6 perhaps, but h6 unpoisons c8, and white takes an easy c8, and I would have to be forced to jump in perhaps. And seems like a little bit too strong to the right for black, and gives white more options to the right. So another option is to actually play b3 and establish a mini diagonal line control, which is also evident to the bottom, a c6 and d7 disc line control, and also a c4 to e2 diagonal line control for black to approach to the left. And of course, one more option is to just play a6 and just go to the left and just wait for white to actually break the shape. So right now I'm also thinking that if white plays either d1 or h5, they would actually self-obstruct one another. So I almost feel a little comfortable for him to actually take either of those moves, as long as I can create one more move in the future. So I'm gonna go ahead to play a6 as a more passive and waiting move perhaps, and wait for opponent's response before deciding what to do. Of course, the weakness of a6 is that he might go to a5. So let's see how that goes.
そうね。この場合はこういう予定だったんだけど。 これで大丈夫だよな。左側でね、やたら手得をされたらいけないんで、B3 には A4 があるから大丈夫だよな。と思います。これで左側で黒から積極的に手得をされなければ悪くはない。
Okay, so white has taken h5, somewhat expected, a very nice center cut right down the line. And of course, we need to also perhaps observe the disc that he flipped has unpoisoned. So the disc that one of the discs that he flipped on d5 and and that has unpoisoned perhaps b3 as a 大丈夫か
間違えたな。大丈夫、大丈夫、大丈夫。
So right now that has unpoisoned b3, which is a nice quiet move for me, and also I still retain that option of playing e8 to feed that unbalanced edge across and perhaps establish e7 to actually access h4 in the future. So right now the top picks would be b3 or e8. Just looking at my other options, I don't really see other viable ones. So let's just try to weigh the difference between e8 and b3. So b3 is a quick, easy, quiet move, but in exchange, it also gives white the potential opportunity to gain tempo by playing h3 and also g3 in the future in succession. So perhaps e8 might be an option, but e8 also gives up a quick quiet move to e1, but in that case, white probably won't go down the e1 line because I would then capture c8. So if I were to play e8, and I think most likely the response would be down to g8. But white would then have a nice access, establishing a white disc on e8 to actually access to b5 in the future. So I think I'm going to go with b3, also because of how the shape is configured to the left. Even though b3 gives up sort of two tempo to the right in terms of h3 and g3, but at the same time I can also do b3, perhaps a5 in continuation, and maybe grab one more move to b5 in the future as well. So let's go ahead with b3.
間違えちゃった。間違えちゃった。これは違ったわ。失敗しちゃった。どうしよう。間違ったな。間違えちゃった。いやー、これ間違っちゃった。どうしましょう。今のはね、一つ大きな勘違いが入ってしまいまして、振っちゃいけない手だったんだな。これはまずいな、本当に。これどうしたらいいんだろう。いや、これ参ったぞ。いやー、どうしたもんかな、これ。いや、どうやってもよくならないな、これ。ダメだな。いや、これ参った。これ参ったな。いや、これちょっと本当に参りました。勘違いが入ってた。読み落としがありました。頑張ります。
Okay, so white has played a surprising response to c8. I wasn't expecting this move, but the plan for b3 was to actually just try to gain tempo to the left in exchange for white's gain in tempo to the right. So right now the plan perhaps hasn't changed. Probably exchanging the potential a5 and b5 move for his h 3 and g3 perhaps, and if he doesn't form that one square gap of h4, then perhaps he could actually either play to h4 or g3 directly. I'm not too sure. But right now, in terms of just trying to conserve tempo and just playing direct moves, it seems that A5, sorry, and also B5 would be that consecutive combo that I would like to do. And of course, bearing in mind that if I play A5, it gives up a nice quiet move for white to actually play to E1. But in response, I can still continue towards B5. And of course, if he choose to prevent B5 by playing F1, I could then play a E1 poisoning move. So with everything considered, I think A5 actually looks like a brilliant move to play right now. Probably just a bit concerned in terms of the tempo exchange to the right. But right now, because of C8 move, it seems like I have some options below to probably play E8 at a time that I would prefer. But right now, I would actually go for A5. Okay, so he's actually responded pretty quickly to A3, so I believe Mr. Nakajima has already anticipated that move and prepared a response. So that is something that we should all perhaps learn to prepare for and just try to think of one, maybe like a black, white, black, at least a 3-move sequence before making each move. And right now, I think the next threat is for white to actually play the A4. I can prevent it by playing either C1 or D1, which removes the C2 disc. Or I could just ignore it and poison the move by playing to B5 to progress on. So because white has actually played A3 and established that poison move, it's unlikely that I would actually remove the A3 disc all too quickly. So that actually poisons G3 perhaps in the future. And if I were to occupy B5, it might potentially poison my E8 in the future. So prevention almost seems like the better option right now in the form of either C1 or D1. So let's weigh between C1 and D1. If I were to play C1 and give up maybe D1 in response for white, it would actually be a very poison move for white. So that might actually favor me. So C1 seems good. D1 right now actually allows white to play C1, which might be a multiple diagonal line control to the 3 pockets, the 3 diagonal exits at E1, F2, and G3. So I think I would actually probably prefer C1 over D1. Okay, let's go with C1.
いやー、苦しいな。死にそうだ。これはどうやっても死んでるよな。一旦これ打ちます。
Okay, so white has played F1, which is the typical kind of response to actually break the upper shape, which is more like an L shape. Over here, these 4 squares, it's more like an L shape. So you break it, and then you anticipate a response to either D1 or E1, and then you capture either F2, or you just play the either of E1, D1 that is available, and you feed off the unbalanced edge. So right now, I'm actually interested to keep that shape towards trying to capture the edge to the top, and I probably don't want to form a 1 square gap. So comparing to D1 and E1, I would actually slightly prefer D1 perhaps. So a very rare occasion would actually be a best move to F2, but right now it's probably not the case because it gives up too many moves for white, and also D1 is a clean move for white in response. So E1 also establishes a poison if E1, F2, G3, that would actually be a very poison move because G3 also flips F2. So right now, I think I would actually prefer D1 to protect the edge to the top.
そうっすか。何かできないかな。これ打ったとこでな。苦しい。ああ、本当にひどいことしちゃったな。5だ。
Okay, so white has played F2. So quick response for me would actually to just simply just cut across to centralize to G3. Perhaps. Okay, if I were to play G3 and white goes to E1 and flips back E3 disc, then G1 would actually be fairly poisoned, perhaps. So that's one point to take note of. So I think B5 is still an exclusive region for me, so I would like to still keep it as much as possible the same way. So the danger is G3 and E1. So bearing in mind that I don't really have much time left, 4 minutes.
何か起こるかもしれない。
So the options would be either G3 or B5. Okay, let me just go ahead with G3, which almost seems like the safer option at the moment.
まず来たか。まあこれはこうするしかないよね。
Okay, so white has taken E1. So if I were to take G1,
これなんか
it will be poisoned. And if I don't take it, he takes a strong edge to the top. I think I have to take it. So we cannot afford giving him the top edge and losing too many tempo.
これさすがにこう打つよな。さすがに打つよな。知らんけど。
Okay, so right now the first instinct is to take a diagonal control to B7 because now white is very defensive and white doesn't have access to A4 immediately. And also does not have a direct access to cut back into the diagonal perhaps. So let's go ahead with B7 diagonal control.
まあ、あまり気にしなくていいはずだよ。なぜなら左上がこれ5個空きなんだよ。そして、どう考えるの？ここには1手ある。ここに1手ある。これ誰だろう。これ打っておくと、打つ必要ないし。多分先にこれ打たれるんだよな。だからこれは打つしかないんだよね。そういうことだよ。先に打たれちゃうんだから打ちます。はい。
Okay, white has played B2. So almost seems as though he's trying to give me, probably trying to make me self-swindle. I cannot play E8 that gives up G8 immediately and lose the tempo because right now there isn't an access for white to actually play the corner. So an option is to actually just play A1 corner immediately and perhaps try to sweep the disc as much as possible. Just bearing in mind I have 2 minutes. Another option would be to play to G8 perhaps. So I think G8 almost looks like a viable option. Okay, let's go ahead with G8 and just try to defend that edge.
いいのか？いいのかそれ。また切れるからいいって？本当？これはこれで済みそうなんだけど。でもまあ一旦これつけるでしょ。
Okay, so white has played a force move. I'll play that for a force, perhaps diagonal control.
いいよな。
Okay, white has intersected back for E4, which I actually did not foresee in the earlier moves, perhaps. Let's see whether we can play an extreme diagonal control. If I were to further cut to H7, If white takes h3, I could probably try to forcefully defend to g2, perhaps. Let's try to just follow through that defense.
これね、ただ H3 でバツられるとね、きついでしょ。他ね2から行くんだと思うんだけど、俺で足りてないなら俺はしょうがないです。白、黒。これいけるから大丈夫だな。あ？いやいや、ちょっと待てよ。これがあるのか、そうすると。あるけどしょうがないよな。うん。あるけどしょうがない。こっちしかないっす。
Okay, so our opponent has played a very beautiful move to h2, which is totally unexpected. And potentially he could actually swindle, so now it's a very tough position for me right now. So just bearing in mind of time, I'll play a force move in response to G7.
これがあるからさ、これがあるからね、これで H6 に打てたらいいんだけどさ。しょうがないんだよな。
Okay, so I just have to take that move and give up the swindle. Okay, hopefully
でも A7 が。
hopefully I have some discs perhaps to try to sweep the discs.
大丈夫ね、でもまあ、一旦これしかないよね。そりゃね。
Okay, seems like parity is lost, but just hopefully we can get some discs that might be sufficient.
お ?33? ちょっと待ってよ。あ、違う。え ?31? ダメか。そうなんだ。はい。これです。
Okay, so opponent has played A2. I have to play A1 first because I don't want him to actually play G2 first to actually establish some discs along this diagonal. So A1 definitely first.
これ逆に打ったらどうなるんだろう。ああ、anyway, 31.
Oh, you counted?
Anyway, 31. 5、6、7、8、7、6、5、6、7、8、9、3。
Okay, so only choice to play. Oh, okay.
Anyway, 31.
Okay.
ありがとうございました。
Oh, thank you very much.
ちょっと。
I think I got away. Quite lucky there.
No, you are strong.
Oh, really?
Than me, yeah.
I think maybe my end game was quite bad.
Yes, I agree. I could have chance. I don't know.
I think so. Yeah, probably we'll have to review the game. But thank you very much, Mr. Nakajima, for participating in this game. So I think one of the advantage that I have for exhibition games is that I actually have slightly more experience in terms of talking through my thoughts before making the moves, as opposed to my guests who actually show up on the exhibition game for the first time and just trying to explain all their moves before they play it. So I think that is a slight advantage for me. Normally, I think I only win maybe 1 in 5 or 6 games against Nakajima. So this is a very lucky result for me. So perhaps, Mr. Nakajima, if you'd like to share your thoughts on the whole exhibition game format and whether you like it or not, and perhaps you might welcome future Japanese players to participate in a game or two with me. Specifically, someone actually requested to try to make an exhibition game with Mr. Kisuke, who is the 2018 world champion, perhaps, if that's an opportunity. Of course, there are always favorite players like Mr. Akihiro Takahashi or Mr. Yusuke Takanashi to also join in.
すっげえな
So I think during this COVID situation, such an exhibition online game might be fun for the audience as well. So, Mr. Nakajima, would you like to speak a few words on your thoughts on the exhibition game?
はい、ありがとうございました。とてもなんか、レフトサイドで大きなミステイクをしてしまってですね、とても不利になったと思います。でも、thanks anyway, I enjoyed.
Okay.
Next game ね。
Yep. Okay, thank you very much. So, okay. So, thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in to watch this exhibition game, and I'll look forward to the next one. Okay.
さようなら。